Hello, it's Peter Wright and Kathleen Beauvais with another episode of the Yakking Show. This is the show that brings you more actionable business tips and ideas than you'll find almost in any one single place on the whole internet. We do that by bringing you interesting guests and international guests, and today is no exception. But first, let's introduce co-host Kathleen Beauvais. Hi, Kathleen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you so much. And thank you all very much for tuning into our show. We so appreciate you. And as Peter mentioned, we do have another special guest with us today. And we have the privilege of welcoming Roslyn Ranse to the show. Hello, Roslyn. How are you?
Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Peter. I'm very well,
Hi.
thank you. You're in Australia. It's lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Roslyn, you are the CEO of Travel Agent Achievers. Roslyn helps travel professionals build a successful business, and let's jump right into it. Roslyn, how exactly do you help travel professionals succeed?
Well, my background, Kathleen, is in international education and sales and marketing. And I switched careers about 14 or 15 years ago now into the travel industry. And at the time, everyone said that I was crazy. Why are you doing that? You're traveling the world and now you're starting a business from scratch and you're in the travel industry. There's so many changes. And for me, it was a big jump. But one thing that I knew more than anything was that how to start a business is through passion. And for me, travel, I just loved it. And I loved helping people explore this incredible planet that we live on. And for me, it was also about having the business focus. So now what I do with Travel Agent Achievers, and I've been doing for several years now, is really championing the success and the wins of other business owners, specifically in the travel industry, and also encourage them to focus on their business. They know how to sell travel, they know the destinations, they understand geography, but when it comes to building a business, I really believe that you need to focus on the business. But also as small business owners, we don't necessarily stop and celebrate the wins. We don't stop and celebrate the successes, or if we hit a target with something, or we've landed a great new client, or a client's returned from a trip. We don't celebrate that enough. And I think as small business owners, having people around you that can champion that and actually say, let's stop for a moment and let's celebrate this, like get out the pom-poms, whatever it is, and cheer on that success. So with Travel Agent Achievers, it's definitely about helping travel advisors focus on their business and also through championing their success and encouraging them just to succeed.
Right.
Very good. Going to ask you a bit more about the transition you made later on, but first of all, for travel agents in our audience, or travel professionals, should I say, in our audience, and service providers in general in our audience, and we have a lot in our audience, what's one tip that you could give them that they should focus on today to try and improve their business?
One piece of advice that I received early in my career was know your numbers. And so
Okay.
I've carried that through. Know your numbers, and that can be anything. I like looking at the actual numbers over a percentage in smaller business because it's the real life fact and we can celebrate that. So it could be, how much did you sell last month? Is that in line with what you have outgoing? What about the number of clients? I do look at things like social media, if that's the platform where small business owners are or where your clients are. So I say, all right, well, how are you going there? Are you putting in the time and the effort that warrants or has the return on investment? But also I would say it's definitely looking at all things across your business and really know those numbers so that you are across everything and you know what you need to focus on. Yeah.
Yeah, good advice. I'm going to jump in quick. That
Sure.
reminded me of something I did many years ago when I was in a different part of the world, in the Southern Hemisphere, but in Africa. And I had my own business, about 15 employees. and I'd made the transition from corporate. And the thing that frightened the hell out of me, excuse my language, was meeting payroll every month, right? So my
Yeah.
biggest metric, my most important goal was making payroll. And I tried to do that by about the 10th of the month, because you can put a lot of other bills off for a few days, but you can't put your salaries and wages. So that was, and I was speaking to other people, and I said, that's a really good idea to know that you're covering your payroll, and then you're okay. You're going to survive another month.
Oh, I like that. I like that, to
Yeah,
break it down even further, and specifically around staff. The
yeah,
travel advisors that I work with, they may not necessarily have large
sure.
teams, or if they do, but I really like that, because even for myself, I know that the money that's coming in, it has to cover the team. I wouldn't dare let them go without pay. But sure, if there was a subscription that bounced, okay.
That's right. And it's very easy if you know your profit margins. It's very easy to know how much revenue you've got to turn over to meet payroll, right, or to meet any other overhead. So it's quite easy to calculate.
Absolutely. Well, that was probably
Yeah.
the first thing that I did at the beginning of the pandemic. And that's what I encouraged a lot of other small business owners do, was look at your cash flow. How long can
Hmm.
you survive with the money that you
Yeah.
already have in the bank without income coming in? And we weren't able to travel. So it really opened the eyes of a lot of travel professionals and small business owners to look at their numbers and say,
Sure.
whoa, I really can only operate without a support assistance or getting another job for 1 month, maybe. And
Hmm.
that was the question that they had to ask themselves. So looking at that first was, a really big thing for me, because I needed to know, where was my business at,
Yeah.
and how long could it last without actually having income coming in. Yeah, it's a really big eye opener. So knowing your numbers, I think,
Oh,
is really
yes.
good.
No,
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. Very good advice. Yeah. Back
Yeah,
to you, Kathleen.
excellent. Yes. What strategies can a travel business develop to help them stand out from the rest?
Yeah, this is a great one. I love this, Kathleen. And I really like to share that there are three things, when looking at the travel business that you want to build, that you should focus on. Now, I know in the Northern Hemisphere, you say niche. We say here
Hmm.
niche, and
Yeah.
finding your passion. So what is it that you really want to promote and sell? And I say break it into three different areas if you're not sure, because when a travel advisor or a travel business first opens, you generally take any client that's coming in because you're so excited. But as you build your business, you can tell that the passion comes through, and your knowledge and your expertise, when you are specifically focused on one of these three. So I would say the first one is, look at the people that you want to travel. So is that you want to focus on family travel, or a specific clientele? Are
Hmm.
they seniors, or that are retirees, or are they the school leavers, the gap leavers? A specific type of person, because that's who you can relate to, them, and you can understand them really well. Now, it's not that you are excluding anybody else. Absolutely not. It's just that you know what these people specifically want right away. The
Hmm.
second area would be focusing on a destination. So if, for instance, and I have clients that I work with that specialize in Thailand, or in the
Hmm.
Philippines, or in Canada, or Alaska, or Africa. So specialize in the specific destination, because you can know that, understand it, and really find what's the amazing experiences that your clients can have there. So focusing on the destination. And then the third one is the experience. And this is where you might be a cruise specialist, or you
Hmm.
may love snowboarding and skiing. So you're promoting and you're talking about that with passion to anybody across the world who wants to experience those things. It might be hiking, it might be culinary, it might be pickleball, for instance. I've got clients who focus specifically on pickleball tournaments around the world. Now, this
Really?
is a
Wow.
brand new niche. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
The other
Wow.
one is that fascinates me is cornhole competitions, right? Now, who would have ever thought that, you could specialize in something so unique and so niche, But I can guarantee there are thousands and thousands of people that travel to these experiences so that they can compete or so that they can be around like-minded people. And that's what is so precious and so beautiful about travel, is that there are so many things that you can promote, that you can speak to, that you can experience. And it comes down to really having a think about, what is it that you want to focus on? So for any travel professional out there, absolutely standing out from the rest. I think if you find that one niche or niche that you love to talk about, that's what will help you stand out.
Interesting.
That is excellent advice. And it's not just for the travel business, Roslyn. I think that is wonderful advice for really anyone in business, is to really focus. And you become an expert, and you're seen as an expert when you do that. Isn't that right?
Yeah,
That's
very much
right.
so. And we interviewed someone else in a different part of the travel industry. I think we published it last week, Ralph Velasco.
Yep.
And his niche was photography travel, because he was a photographer. That was his hobby, which he developed into a business. And then he was taking 12 or 15 people with him to exotic destinations purely for photography. So he was doing exactly what you suggested. And we had another one a couple of years ago, specialized on rural Italy. Remember that lady? That she was Canadian, and she takes tours to a certain part of Italy. I can't remember the destination, but it's like one province of Italy. That's her speciality. Yeah, very good. So let's get back to
when you actually do focus on that one thing, your heart is pumping, and you can tell in the excitement. And I see it all the time, even with clients that I speak to. Sure. I'm excited for their trip, and I'm almost wanting to go on it with them.
Well, personal one, I did the Camino de Santiago 2019, the pilgrimage in Portugal. Wow. I did the one from Portugal, and not the very long one, 250. But I spoke to a travel agent who Kathleen knows well too, because it was a complicated booking and I needed to come back via England, and I just didn't have the time to try and organize it myself. And when she heard where I was going, she said, I've had other people, and she got really excited about where I was going. And when I came back, I had to send her photos and tell her all about it. And so she was going to try and get more people interested in that one. Exactly what you're talking about.
And we do love it. We absolutely love being able to be on those adventures with you, because that's what fuels our passion and it fuels our excitement as travel professionals. And that's one of the beautiful things about the industry that I love, that we can explore through others' eyes as well.
Sure. So let's get back to the Roslyn story now. You were a travel agent yourself, and you did all this traveling all over the world and exotic places, and you made this huge transition to starting a business. Now, you've mentioned a little bit about why you did it, but tell our audience a little bit more of the story and what you had to do. What hoops did you have to jump through to do that?
Yeah, so for me, the big decision was that I really wanted to come home. I was promoting Australia as a destination. Internationally, I was responsible for multi-million-dollar budgets, several staff all over the world. I really just wanted to come home. And I was the director of sales and marketing in the end there for Kaplan Education, which is quite big in the US. So we had 6 schools in Australia that I was responsible for. And I absolutely loved the job. I loved being able to travel. I loved the people. I loved seeing, and I even see it now. I've actually got somebody who I work with who was a student back when I was in international education. And she said to me, this was last year, she said, Ros, when I met you, I was only 16. And she said, I came to a careers week, like a career expo, and spent a few days with you talking about the hotel industry. And she said, from that, it actually changed the career path that I wanted to go on. She wanted to be a flight attendant at the time. And I challenged her on why she was doing it, what she wanted to do. She ended up joining the travel industry, and it's come full circle now. And she's part of my program now. And it only came about because we were talking about this one experience. And she said, Ros, it's so nice that it has come full circle. I've stayed in the industry. I love what I do, and I now get to learn from you again. But for me, it was really a big transition from the corporate space into an industry that I didn't know. I didn't have any clients. I really just loved travel and I wanted to come home. I wanted to define my own work hours. I wanted to have the flexibility in going and having coffee. I didn't have a family. I had no kids at that point. It was really just a lifestyle change for me. The biggest hurdle was actually understanding the systems. So in travel, we use some very archaic systems. We still do. Right back to, I think they were saying the other day, like Telly something or other, that they used to have to type up tickets. It's a big change now, but it is still all coding in a sense that we have to understand a lot of codes. So for me, it was understanding and learning all of that. I already had the sales and marketing skills, so I knew that I could do something, but it was then around the business. So the first thing that I did was reach out to people who had businesses. I surrounded myself with people who understood the mentality of an employee versus a business owner. And I was able to really leverage off the relationships that I had to encourage me to build my business. That was getting business coaches, understanding what needed to be done to build a business. Where did I need to focus? And that's what I really do now, is just help travel professionals understand where to focus on, what are their pain points, and what's the next step for them, depending on how they want to grow. Not everyone wants to build a multi-million-dollar business.
Sure.
Some people just want to be able to earn enough money to save for a holiday and take their family to Disneyland.
Right.
And that's once a year. I mean, that's fine. It doesn't have to be building to these multi-million-dollar conglomerates. It really is about the person. So for me, it was always about, what is it that I needed help with? Where could I get the help? And asking the right people. I love my family to bits, but they don't even understand what I do.
Right.
And you can't talk to them about, the problems that you have on a day-to-day basis in business. They're still trying to grasp that I can get them from Australia to Europe to go and see family.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's what diaspora is for. I can't go and talk to them about business metrics or return on investment or finances and those sorts of things. It just goes straight over their head. And that's okay. I don't need them for that. I love them for who they are, but I do need to surround myself and have people in my corner, like I'm in others, that understand the conversations that need to be had to help myself improve. And a big thing for that, for me, is really about great systems. You need to have great systems in business in order to either leverage your time or grow if you want to. So it's one area that I absolutely see, in order to succeed, you need to have great systems and you need to have the right people in your corner that can help you succeed. And that's coaches, mentors, even other business owners. Yeah.
Right. Now, Roslyn, is there anything along your journey in building your business that you might have done differently? Was there
differently? Yeah, I would absolutely say that. I wish I'd learnt to say no sooner. I am very much somebody who just loves to take care of everyone else. I put their mask on before putting my own on. They say not to do that on the plane, and I hope that if that ever happened, that I would put my own on first. But I would love to say that, I wish I had learned to say no, or have clearer boundaries, understanding what is it that I could commit to and what is it that I just didn't enjoy doing, and being stronger with myself to value myself, my expertise and my knowledge. Yeah, definitely in the travel industry. I think that even now, as it is, everybody is wanting to travel. It is so hard to say to somebody, look, I would love to be able to help you travel. I would love to be able to book that trip for you, but I just don't have the time right now. Or I'm absolutely swamped with something else. It's really hard to say no when you want to help other people explore this planet.
Yeah, it is
the biggest thing, Kathleen.
So that's a good one. And that's answered what I was going to ask you next. So let's ask you another one. How has the travel industry, bounced back after the COVID pandemic?
Yeah, it's been a real challenge. So we went from the peak. So 2019 was this big peak that we were seeing a lot more people travel. The opportunities were there for a lot more people as well. And then the crash, so we weren't able to travel. Everybody was locked in their houses for a couple of years. And for me, that was a really challenging time, and not only for my business, but also for the clients that I was taking care of. In the month or two just after all the borders closed, and here in Australia it was that hard lockdown. We were an island, nobody in or out. And for me, I had just over 1,000 clients that were due to travel. As a small business owner, that felt like a lot of weight on my shoulders, probably close to $1 million worth of money that had already been sent all over the world to airlines, to hotels, to tour operators. And I felt that weight, and I carried it for 2 years. But what I did was actually communicate with my clients, and I just talked to them regularly. I sent out mass communication to them consistently as the borders hit, but it was also just keeping everybody up to date. So now what we're seeing, and I'm so happy, in 2022, the borders opened again. I was the first person to get a large group into Fiji, which we had been changing 3 or 4 times during COVID, the dates, and trying to manage everybody's expectations, as well as keep our suppliers afloat as well, and the hotels. So we had 300 people arrive in Fiji after the borders opened in April 2022. And I've got photos and videos of myself I didn't take that other people did. And I call it the ugly crying, because I am literally sobbing as everybody is walking into a conference room. But it was sheer relief and joy and this massive weight off my shoulders. But what we've seen since then, since the borders have opened, is a lack of staff. The travel professionals as well. We saw, probably 2/3 of our industry actually just close or shut. And so to find a professional travel advisor and somebody who knows their stuff and that's been doing it a long time can be a challenge. So now we're looking at what are the skills, who there can support and encourage others or mentor new advisors into the industry. And it's not just in the travel industry. And I speak in travel from a travel professional point of view, but across the whole industry now. You guys will see it as well with you go into a hotel and initially you may not have even been able to have your room made up, or now it may not be made up until the afternoon, or you only get every 2-day service, or the reception staff are new. So we're seeing this real transition again. Everybody wants to travel. We are finding that prices are high. So if you've got credits, you might have to buy a flight to the same or higher value than what you have a credit for. Hotels are experiencing tremendous growth as well, but we are having challenges in the staffing point of view and just trying to scale back up to the numbers that we had pre-COVID. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. We interviewed we interviewed an event organizer, a very successful event organizer, a couple of months ago. She said exactly the same, that people want to, since all the restrictions were lifted, now businesses want events, but the hotels can't find staff, so they can't, and the facility. Last quick one on travel. We've got a little bit of time in hand. My son is taking his family to Europe in August, September, because he's very concerned about digital ID being required for flights into Europe or UK in particular from September onwards. Is that a fear for a lot of people?
Nope. I think everybody has fears on different aspects of what travel looks like for them in the future. We've had it with vaccinations. We've had it with digital IDs and passports. We're having it across the range, but I don't think that it is en masse. I think that in general, people still want to travel. And if they do, they need to succumb to, or they need to adhere to whatever the policies are of the destination they are traveling to. So we can't control that. And I think as travelers, we need to be mindful of any country's requirements. that is something that we are definitely across, and we are also managing the expectations of our clients. So if I was to have a client that said, I'm not happy with this, I don't want to, but I really want to go there, then I would have to look at and say to them, there are really two choices. I can't change the government requirements, but do you want to go there, or would you be happy to visit somewhere else that might be similar or have similar experiences? But I think there's going to be a lot of changes in the travel industry. We've already seen a lot. We are all just trying to catch up and keep abreast of what's actually going on. And every country is different. So that's the challenge, is what countries are doing what, and how can we en masse actually adhere to what the country requirements are. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you tell
us
about your services and your podcast?
So I specifically work with travel professionals globally. We have the podcast, which is called Travel Agent Achievers. I also have a mentoring mastermind program called The Achievers. I have a lot of free resources. My biggest thing to help somebody succeed is really just learn, absorb, but take action. And so I like to be able to give resources that are exactly there for that. If you want to know how to find out who is your niche, then great, I've got a free resource for that. If you want to know how to get staff and know exactly what those staff should be doing or how they could help you in your travel business, then on our website, we have all those free resources. So for anything that I can do to support and encourage the travel and tourism industry and travel professionals globally to build their business, whether it's focusing on sales, marketing, operations, finances, their client services, then it's a one-stop shop. I'm not going to teach you how to, book something in Europe. I am purely focused on the business behind the person. So excellent. Travel Agent Achievers on the website is the best place to find me, as well as on socials. So Instagram, send me a DM. I'd love to hear from everyone, and also our podcast.
Excellent.
Jolly good. We will put all those details there for our audience, and for our audio listeners, a reminder, once again, you can get all those details if you go to the description wherever you find the podcast on your favorite platform. So Roslyn, here's what we call our burning question for all our successful guests. And it's something that intrigues both of us, and the answers intrigue us even more. With all your experience, both in the corporate world, travel, so you've been exposed to all sorts of different cultures, probably more than the average business person, and with your own business now for many years and the clients that you advise. In all that experience, is there one habit, mindset, or characteristic that sets the successful business leaders apart from those that remain average, or is it more complicated?
I have a saying that I say to myself, which is, do something today that others won't, so that tomorrow you can do something that others can't. And that just spurs me to keep going. No, it's not just about the to-do list. Do that one thing more. When you're focused on your business, if you take one action each month working on your business, at the end of the year, you are 12 steps ahead of somebody who just said, I'm too busy. So that is a saying that I love to say, which is do something today that others won't, so that tomorrow you can do something that others can't.
Oh,
that is very good.
Yeah, it is.
Very true as well. Excellent.
I love that.
Excellent.
I'm going to have to remember.
Yeah, I do too.
We'll have to write that down.
I think we need to put that in big letters on our wall opposite where we sit now. Thank you very much.
It's a real reminder. And if you do have that in big letters, just print it out or write it somewhere in your office. You will look at it and say, yeah, you know what? Just that one more thing. Yeah. And I'm not saying work 15, 16, 17 hours a day.
Oh, sure.
I don't subscribe to that at all. I now have a family. I am out the door at 2:30 of the afternoon. I want to go and pick my son up from school. Like, I'm very intentional with the work that I do. So
very good.
Just make sure that you can do that extra thing though.
Excellent. So my last bit before I hand over to Kathleen is sorry, Kathleen, for our audience, you've heard and seen one of our very interesting guests that we have on the show, so that you don't miss out on our guests that are coming up. We have a lot of very interesting guests coming up. hop onto our website, theyakkingshow.com, sign up for our newsletter, and then every week you'll get a little reminder who's coming on the show. And that's it for me. Thank you very much. Back to Kathleen.
Roslyn, let people know how they can contact you.
Directly off our website. You can find me at travelagentachievers.com and also through social media. You'll find me mostly on LinkedIn or Instagram and Facebook.
Excellent.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. It was just very inspiring listening to you chat today, Roslyn. Thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you all for tuning in. And if anyone is interested in being a guest on our show, please visit us at theyakkingshow.com. All you need to do is click on the Contacts tab, where you will find a short application form. We would love to hear from you. And please, if there's any topics you'd like us to cover, let us know. We have access to many experts on this show. So until next time, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.